Hunting for Answers is a production of the Black Effect Podcast Network and iHeartRadio. This episode contains references to alleged child abuse and the disappearance and presumed death of a child. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to Hunting for Answers, a true crime podcast. I'm your host, Hunter, and today we're highlighting a case that was widely cited by reporters as a well-known example of serious failures in Florida's child welfare oversight. In early 2001, a 4-year-old girl disappeared from a Miami area home she had been placed through the foster care system. But her absence was not discovered for about 15 months. During that time, required monthly visits were not properly completed. By the time authorities realized she was missing, it was far too late. Her name is said to stand for Remember I Love You Always. This is the story of Rilya Wilson. Rilya Shanice Wilson was born on September 29, 1996. According to case records and later reporting, her mother, Gloria Wilson, struggled with substance abuse and housing instability. Rilya and her siblings were removed from her custody, and her mother's parental rights were later terminated. From infancy, Rilya's life was shaped by the foster care system. In 2000, Rilya and her siblings were placed in a Miami-Dade County home with a woman named Geraldine Graham. Reporting at the time said Rilya was supposed to be living with Graham, who described herself as Rilya's grandmother. But Rilya's mother, Gloria Wilson, told reporters that Graham was Rilya's godmother. The exact biological relationship remains unclear. What happened next would become a mystery that has now spanned more than 2 decades. When Geraldine Graham was later arrested, investigators reported that she had dozens of aliases, 47 by some counts. Investigators said she possessed multiple identification documents under different names. Court records and news reports also said a physician had previously evaluated Graham and described her as having been diagnosed with a psychotic disorder. In the aftermath, reporting and court proceedings raised questions about how thoroughly the placement had been vetted. The exact last seen timeline for Rilya Wilson varies across public reports. Geraldine Graham told investigators that on January 18, 2001, a woman claiming to be from the Florida Department of Children and Families, DCF, came to the home and took Rilya for an evaluation. Investigator accounts and reporting said that there was no official DCF visit record showing a worker removed Rilya on that day. Some trial testimony and reporting indicated there was conflicting recollection about when Rilya was last seen in the home. Reporting and court records show no confirmed, documented sightings of Rilya Wilson after early 2001. She was 4 years old. State records showed that required monthly visits were not being made in Rilya's case to verify her safety. Court testimony indicated that the assigned caseworker did not complete all required in-person visits, and there were allegations that some contact notes were inaccurate or falsely documented. Reports say the caseworker later admitted to documentation failures, and the state sought restitution related to salary and benefits. She was not criminally charged in connection with Rilya's disappearance. Reports say Rilya's status was not physically verified for more than a year. It wasn't until March 2002, during a state review of case records, that officials flagged serious concerns in Rilya's file. DCF then reached out to Geraldine Graham. Graham said Rilya had already been taken by DCF, a claim the agency denied. The follow-up contact led investigators to discover that Rilya was missing. after 15 months after she was last seen. On April 25th, 2002, Rilya Wilson was officially reported missing. As the investigation continued, multiple witnesses testified to abuse and improper confinement inside the home. One household member, referred to in reports as Pamela Kendrick and sometimes as Pamela Graham, testified that Rilya was physically punished and at times confined, including being locked in a room, placed in a dog cage, and at times restrained in bed at night, according to testimony. Investigators searched the property and used chemical testing methods designed to reveal hidden blood evidence inside the home. Reporting on the case says they did not find forensic evidence establishing the house as a homicide scene. Rilya has never been found. Despite claiming the child had been taken, Geraldine Graham continued receiving and cashing state benefit checks issued for Rilya's care. In August 2004, more than 3 years after Rilya was last confirmed seen, Geraldine Graham was charged with kidnapping and aggravated child abuse. A murder charge was later added. The second household member, Pamela, was also charged. Court records show Pamela later cooperated with investigators and testified in the case. Court records show that, with no recovered remains and limited physical evidence, prosecutors relied heavily on witness testimony. A key witness was a jailhouse informant, Robin Lunsford, who testified that Graham told her she had suffocated Rilya with a pillow. According to her testimony, Graham spoke about the child in degrading terms and said her remains were put in water near the home. Appellate court records summarized testimony that Graham referenced the idea of, quote, no body, no murder. The defense strongly challenged Lunsford's credibility, pointing to her criminal history and what was described in court as a sentence reduction agreement. A Miami-Dade Corrections lieutenant testified that some of the conversations Lunsford claimed could not have happened because she and Graham were housed separately. Multiple jailhouse informants provided testimony. As a result, the reliability of the informant testimony became a central issue at trial. The trial began in November 2012. In January 2013, the jury convicted Geraldine Graham of kidnapping and aggravated child abuse. On the murder charge, the jury deadlocked and no murder conviction was entered. The murder count was not retried. On February 12, 2013, Graham was sentenced to 30 years for kidnapping and 25 years for aggravated child abuse, for a total of 55 years. The case led to statewide scrutiny of Florida's child welfare system. DCF leadership changed after the case came to light. Lawmakers passed a reform law often referred to as the Rilya Wilson Act. It requires attendance tracking and quick reporting when children in state care miss school or child care without approval. More than 2 decades later, Rilya Wilson has never been found. Anyone with information related to the disappearance of Rilya Wilson should contact the Miami-Dade Police Department or the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Their contact information is listed in the description below. Our thoughts are with the family and friends of Rilya Wilson. As we close out this episode, remember that sharing her story helps keep Rilya's case from being forgotten and supports the continued search for answers. For updates on this case and others, follow Hunting for Answers. You can also connect with us through our Facebook group and find us on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Reach out to us if there's a case or story you believe deserves attention. Thank you for joining us for another episode. Until next time. Hunting for Answers is a production of the Black Effect Podcast Network. For more podcasts from the Black Effect Podcast Network, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.